Hi, this is Bishop Craig in Lansing, and this is take one for the week of October 10. Peace be with you. I'm sure I'm not going to talk about everything that I could talk about today, but I want to talk about 5 congregations really quickly. The first is Peace in South Haven. Pastor Ray Bartles turned 100, and the congregation, Pastor Bartles is a baker, so they thought they would collect 100 dozen cookies and send them to the troops, as we have done in the past. Apparently, they collected 300 dozen cookies, 3,600 cookies, and sent them to the troops. And so cookies from South Haven, I hear, are in San Diego, they are in Germany, and they are in Cuba, making chaplains popular and soldiers and sailors happy. Nice job, Peace in South Haven. Pastor Anderson was with Evangelical in East Jordan on Sunday past and to mark the last Sunday of Pastor Ken. And this Sunday, Pastor Matt Deems will take over as stated supply. So we are thankful for that transition. I said it last week, I think, but congratulations to Pastor Carl Ballard and the people at St. Paul's in East Lansing. We did the installation 18 months after Pastor Ballard started, and it's kind of exciting to see that the pastor and the people are getting along, at least right now. There's no problems, but I've learned to be cautious, and they could really celebrate because they have such a good relationship. So I'm grateful for that. 3 congregations you should know about, and I ask your prayers about. St. Peter in Battle Creek. Pastor Jennifer Michaels' last Sunday will be this coming Sunday, the 17th. Pastor Michael has accepted a call in the Southeastern Synod that will bring her closer to family, to her mom. So we bless Pastor Jennifer on her way, and we will be working with St. Peter as they determine what comes next. St. Luke in Grand Rapids has a vote on Sunday after a synod listing process to accept, to give assent to or not some recommendations that will help them chart their future. So we are praying for the people of St. Luke and Pastor David Blank this week and especially next Sunday. And Pastor Jack Farah has begun ministry as interim at Christ in Wyoming, as Pastor Justin Walker has been placed on the disability roster. So I ask you to remember all of these folk in your prayers as I am remembering them in mine. The readings for Sunday, the gospel reading, I said in my sermon at St. Paul's on Sunday, they get really feisty as we move forward to Advent. So 2 weeks ago we got divorce. Last week we got possessions. This week we get power and status as James and John ask Jesus to grant them to sit one at his left hand and one at his right in his glory. Now, if you just pause, I'm on the screen, so I can't let you see it all, but if you think one at his left hand and one at his right, or I just did it wrong, but one at his left, one at his right, I put out my arms, and oh my goodness, I'm in the shape of a cross. So what they're asking in reality is grant us to sit on one side of you and at the other when you are glorified on the cross. But they don't know that. So Jesus asked them, are you able to drink the cup that I drink and be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized? And they go, yup, not realizing that as we read on in Mark, Jesus in the garden speaks of his passion and death as a cup, asking God to take this cup from me, but not my will, but thy will be done. And that the baptism that Jesus is baptized with is not water in the Jordan, but his blood. So what they're asking, but they do not know it, is to share in Jesus' passion and death. And Jesus says you will get that. Because indeed, church history holds, tradition holds, that James and John, the sons of Zebedee, are martyrs. But to sit at his right and his left, that's not his to give. And we will see, history holds that on the cross, there were thieves or there were revolutionaries, but there were people deemed unworthy at Jesus' left and right hand. So we should all be careful when we ask Jesus to make us great so that we know what we're getting. I'm hearing a lot of people aren't using this phrase, make us a great church. But, we have congregations that in light of COVID want to get back to their former greatness and are very concerned that they don't have the crowds and the young families and the children that they seem to think they had or remember once upon a time, and they're looking years into the future and can begin to see a time when their congregation may not be there, and they're looking for a quick fix or a blame. And I'm sorry, but I think Jesus gives us the answer. Whoever wants to be great must be the servant of all. For the Son of humanity came not to serve, but to be served, and to give his life a ransom for many. So if we want to be great, we'll get to work being the servant of all. And we won't be looking for young families, to bring their energy and their money to serve us. And if you look at the history of the church, that's how the church grew, by caring for those who were the least of these, the hungry, the poor, orphaned kids, and those who were aged and had no one. That's how the church grew. And if we're ready to embrace that mission, we will grow and we will become great. But if we ask Jesus to make us great, we need to be ready for him not to send wealthy young families who are going to do our work and pay our bills so that we don't have to change. And we will last forever. As I say, these readings get feisty till Advent. And this one may be one of the feistiest. But I think it's a word these days that we need to hear. And so we hear it. The good news, of course, is that as we look at this path that Jesus is setting, there's Pastor Anderson. I'll talk to her in a minute. If we look at this path that Jesus is setting, we see death going to the cross. But the good news is that Jesus Christ transforms death into the way to new life. So as I've said for years now, I think the church will not get back to the old life it had, but is heading toward the new life that Jesus brings. And there's no sidestepping death. That's where we're going. So can we embrace the good news of life through death and let go of the old life or life that avoids death? That's what I'm thinking about on this Monday before the 17th. This is Bishop Craig, and I'm going to go because I think I'm needed. Peace be with you.